Hi there, I'm Monica Madden, and welcome to an ABC News California special presentation. On November 4th, California voters will decide on Proposition 50. It's a statewide election with national implications. How the Golden State votes will likely impact which party retains control of Congress in 2026 and how Californians are represented in our nation's capital. But how exactly did we get here? Josh Haskell from ABC 7 in Los Angeles explains what Prop 50 would do.
If Prop 50 passes, California's congressional districts would be changed for the 2026, 2028, and 2030 elections temporarily, overruling the state's independent redistricting commission, which would draw new maps after the 2030 census.
Redistricting is one of the most important things that no one knows about. This ballot initiative is important because it'll affect who represents you. It will determine who controls Congress next year.
The Yes campaign is led by California Democrats and is part of an effort to counter Texas's mid-decade redraw of their congressional maps and help Democrats win 5 more U.S. House seats.
In most states, not in California, state legislatures redraw their lines. So that's why when Trump started calling Texas, calling Missouri, calling other Republican-held states, he can just say, can you please redraw the lines?
I know they say don't mess with Texas. Well, don't mess with the great Golden State.
The only hope they have of keeping power next November is to rig the system.
Big money from inside and outside California is being raised by both campaigns. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been featured in an ad for the Yes campaign. Arnold Schwarzenegger shows up in an ad for the No campaign. Jeanne Raya served on the first independent redistricting commission from 2010 to 2020.
I don't think that this is going to accomplish what the governor wishes it would. There's no magic number of Democrats seats or blue seats that we have in California that will counter the number of red states that seem to be jumping in alongside Texas.
The nuclear warhead has already been launched, and it's kind of too late to put it back in. So I think now we're actually heading towards mutually assured destruction on redistricting.
The national implications of this election have brought out the big money and big names for both the yes and no sides of the campaign. Arguably no bigger name than one leader who Democrats put on the airwaves in mid-October.
California, the whole nation is counting on you.
Former President Barack Obama has entered the Prop 50 chat.
Democracy is on the ballot November 4th. Republicans want to steal enough seats in Congress to rig the next election and wield unchecked power for 2 more years. With Prop 50, you can stop Republicans in their tracks.
As one of the most popular figures amongst Democrats nationwide, the Yes on 50 campaign is banking on Obama to turn out its base.
Return your ballot today. Vote yes on 50.
If approved, California's U.S. House districts would change dramatically, putting 5 incumbent Republicans at risk of losing their seats to Democrats. All initially proposed in response to Texas gerrymandering its maps to advantage congressional Republicans in the 2026 midterms. On the no side,
2 bad behaviors don't make a right behavior.
The highest profile Republican endorsement comes from former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger.
This is why it is important for you to vote no on Proposition 50.
Who led California's push for adopting an independent redistricting commission in the first place. With historically lower turnout in special elections, it will come down to a numbers game.
To make sure that we turn out every single Republican and everybody knows to vote no on Prop 50.
Both parties revving up canvassing and ads in the final weeks. And turnout will be critical, as voter registration data shows Republicans making statewide gains. Democrats gained a net increase of just 190 registered Democratic voters, whereas the GOP saw a net increase of more than 48,000 registered Republicans.
Public polls have shown a slight edge to the Yes on Prop 50 campaign, but the margin is much closer than many thought it would be. Opponents have been equally vocal on this issue, especially in California's Central Valley. Gabe Ferris from ABC 30 in Fresno, California, has more.
With voters set to decide on a rare mid-decade redistricting plan, a coalition to stop it is now forming in Fresno.
Our entire Central Valley is being affected by this.
Fresno County Supervisor Nathan Magsig among the elected officials speaking out against Prop 50. It would override the state's independent commission voters approved in 2010.
Proposition 50 continues to cut up the state of California, making it very difficult not only for voters, but just for us to have appropriate representation.
Campaigns on both sides are now intensifying. Some voters are receiving mailers like these, encouraging them to vote no. A special election to turn back the clock on fair elections. This one reads, here branded as a power grab by Sacramento.
They fired the first shot, Texas. We wouldn't be here had Texas not done what they just did.
Governor Newsom and state Democrats say their hand was forced, highlighting that President Trump acted first when he asked Texas to add Republican seats. The speaker's reluctant to criticize him.
You call it politics and say that you're against it here. Do you support what the president is doing in Texas?
I don't know what the president is doing in Texas.
Redistricting.
Okay. Texas is for Texas and California is for me.
Prop 50 would divide Fresno County into 6 congressional districts, up from the current 4. The proposed 18th district would extend from downtown San Jose to western Fresno County. Coalinga farmer and Westlands board member William Bordeaux says it's just too big.
I think we need representatives that understand our area. Water supply is critical to our farming operations.
Governor Newsom has said Prop 50 is about democracy.
We're responding what occurred in Texas. We're neutralizing what occurred, and we're giving the American people a fair chance.
Coming up next, one group of California voters could be the difference on Election Day. Why some experts say the Prop 50 camps are missing the mark when it comes to Latino voters. Welcome back. Both campaigns for and against Prop 50 have made concerted efforts to sway California Latino voters ahead of the special election. Now, Latinos were key for Republican gains in the 2024 election, and about 4 in 10 eligible voters in California are Latino. But strategists tell me both the Democratic and Republican Party are making assumptions about how this diverse population will vote.
A sprint from both parties to win the Latino vote on Prop 50.
Vota no a la.
Republicans rolling out Spanish-language ads.
It's clear that the Latino community is going to have a profound impact on what happens in November on Prop 50.
Polling out from the Latino Community Foundation showing just 46% of Latino voters plan to vote yes on California's new congressional maps.
Level of awareness on Prop 50 is lower than its advocates would like.
The 1,200 Latinos surveyed listed cost of living and inflation as their top issues, with other economic and affordability issues following for top 5 problems.
You've got a bunch of consultants and professionals who are saying, this is what Latinos should be thinking about, as opposed to what Latinos are saying, this is actually what we're thinking about.
Sacramento political consultant Mike Madrid has studied Latino voting trends for more than 3 decades.
So if that were the conversation, I think we would see probably very different polling numbers for both the yes and the no side. Both sides are missing the opportunity to speak to Latinos on the overwhelming concern that they have about this state and this country, which is the cost of living, the cost of housing, and the affordability of everyday life. So there's this conventional narrative that all of the ICE crackdowns and all of the raids that are happening are moving Latino voters in a very significant way. There is no question at all that it is having an impact. But there's also no question that it's not having nearly the impact that people think it is compared to the economy and the economic situations that Latinos find themselves in.
Madrid says whichever party can speak to top issues for Latinos will have an edge.
As we are the blue-collar working class. We are the essential workforce that makes our economy work. And if you speak to that concern, if you speak to those issues, if you speak about economics, you're going to win the vote. The reason why we're swinging back and forth is because neither party is capable of addressing that primary prioritized issue.
Coming up next, this isn't the first time California has battled gerrymandering. We'll take a deep dive into the history of this issue in the Golden State and nationwide.
America was founded on the notion that a government for the people would be made up of the people. But who decides how the people are represented? That's more complicated. In 26 states, this power lies in the hands of elected politicians in the state legislatures, but not California.
It's all a puzzle piece.
Cynthia Dye knows California's districts. She helped draw them.
When the Voters First Act, came up to vote of people in 2008, I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to fix this in California, and this is so exciting.
Dye was on California's inaugural Independent Redistricting Commission, formed after voters approved Prop 11 and Prop 20 to have citizens, not politicians, draw the electoral maps.
We could not be candidates, politicians, staffers, lobbyists, major donors, or be related to any of those people in order to serve on the commission.
The effort largely driven by then Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Gerrymandering is the worst thing that ever happened to politics.
A political outsider who quickly grew frustrated by how manipulated maps impacted the government's business, and he was determined to put an end to it. But what exactly is gerrymandering? The answer is as juicy as a good political debate.
Gerrymandering refers to any effort to draw districts strategically to favor one group, one interest, party, or even a given individual.
To learn more about it, we caught up with Eric Schickler, a certified congressional history buff and co-director of UC Berkeley's Institute of Governmental Studies.
The term actually goes back to early in the U.S. Republic in the early 1800s.
Enter Elbert Gerry, the architect and namesake of gerrymandering. A founding father himself, Gerry got the nickname after redrawing the Massachusetts state Senate districts to maximize his party's power.
The expectation was they would be drawn by politicians to serve their interests.
That seems pretty counterintuitive to the way the Republic was set up.
Yes and no. I mean, the idea was that this would be a representative democracy, not a direct democracy. One person, one vote, that we should all have votes that are roughly as important as one another is a kind of core democratic value.
It's a core value that Schickler says hasn't always been reflected well.
People in power want to retain their power.
I mean, there are a few tools that are more potent in a sense than being able to draw your districts, because you're basically able to choose the voters who are going to be deciding on your fate.
Take, for example, District 10 in Texas. It's currently held by Republican Congressman Michael McCall. Now, he lives in a wealthy suburb just west of Austin, but his district burrows around deep blue downtown Austin, hitting some of these suburbs north of the city, and then it stretches all the way east outside the suburbs of Houston. Blue states gerrymander too. Looking at District 13 in Illinois, it's currently held by Nikki Budzinski, who lives in Springfield, the state capital. Now the district looks completely different than it did before the 2020 census. It starts in central Illinois and spans all the way down to East St. Louis. This whole district is a roughly 3-hour drive. When it comes to drawing maps to benefit a party in power, federal courts have largely stayed out of the issue. And in 2019, the U.S. Supreme Court made partisan gerrymandering easier. That ruling is in part what enabled Texas to redraw its maps this summer.
54 ayes, 83 nays.
Texas's new congressional maps are designed to boot 5 incumbent House Democrats out of their seats to help the GOP retain its slim majority after the 2026 midterms, all at the request of President Donald Trump.
I think we get 5. And there could be some other states. We're going to get another 3 or 4 or 5 in addition. Texas would be the biggest one.
Donald Trump, you have poked the bear, and we will punch back.
Prompting California politicians to push to do the inverse here to help Democrats if voters approve the changes in Proposition 50.
You cannot save democracy by torching it.
But Dye, the Redistricting Commission member from earlier, strongly opposes this gambit. She says gerrymandering is gerrymandering, and she doesn't believe it belongs in California.
If you fight fire with fire, everything's on fire at the end.
Coming up, a deep dive conversation with top officials from California's Democrat and Republican parties as they make their final pitches to the California voters. Welcome back. As California prepares to decide on Proposition 50, both Democrat and Republican officials are making their final cases to voters. ABC 7 Los Angeles anchor Mark Brown recently hosted 2 of them for a deep dive on Prop 50.
We'll begin with Mr. Gonzalez. Why should voters support Prop 50?
Look, I'm proud to have put this legislation through along with the Speaker and a number of my Democratic colleagues earlier this year. We had to do this. We had to fight back. I'm originally from Texas, and I know what it's like there, and I know what they do when they try to take over our government and not have fair representation. So what we had to do in the legislature was we had to push back. Trump and his administration and his cronies are in Texas stealing 5 seats to push back, and so we as California had to push back and create 5 seats of our own in order for us to make sure that we maintained democracy, especially here in California. The difference, though, is in Texas, they're not taking it to the voters. They simply just used their pen, created new lines, and did not take it to the voters. We are at least giving that opportunity to Californians to make that choice and vote yes on Proposition 50.
Ms. Rankin, why should voters vote no?
You know, you'll hear a lot from the other side about protecting democracy and that this is about Texas, but neither one of them are true. First of all, protecting democracy, strengthening democracy means respecting the will of the voters. And what they won't tell you is that this is the third time this will be on our ballot as Californians. The first time was in 2008 when voters decided that they no longer wanted the California legislator and insider politicians, consultants, drawing our maps behind closed doors, and that they wanted to have an independent redistricting commission. So that was created in 2008. In 2010, the legislator tried to put it on the ballot to repeal this measure. And there was another measure on the ballot. One was to repeal, one was to expand. Voters overwhelmingly rejected the repeal of the independent redistricting and voted overwhelmingly to not only continue the independent redistricting, but to expand it into congressional districts. So we have had this twice. Voters in California have 2 times voted in favor of the Independent Redistricting Commission, and this will be the 3rd time that it's on the ballot. So we are urging people to once again vote no, to send a strong message to Sacramento that we will not have our independence taken away from us.
Okay. Is it okay in Texas but not in California? What happened?
We have different laws. So every state creates their own laws that they abide by. So in California, again, back in 2008, we used to have our legislators draw our lines here in California. But in 2008, voters decided that they no longer wanted it. And so now, since then, it's been a right of ours. It's been a constitutional right to have an independent redistricting commission that says the citizens and our community members put in tens of thousands of hours into community discussions to decide what our communities look like and who's going to represent us.
Okay. Is it okay for Texas and not for California?
Well, it doesn't make sense. We're sitting here preaching about, on the Republican side, that we should be, independent, when yet in Texas, by the stroke of a pen, that governor, Abbott, and along with Trump, just took it and changed the lines however they wanted to. They did not take it to the voters. We cannot sit here and say, oh, well, they voted for, in 2010, they voted all these different measures a certain way, when yet at the end of the day, Texas that was the past. We're talking about the future. We're talking about tomorrow. We're talking about 5 seats that are being stolen by a Republican Party who is holding our country hostage. Voters did not vote for a shutdown. That's what we are facing right now, a shutdown. And so because of that, holding our country hostage because of this Republican administration, we have to do everything that we can in less than 30 days to protect our country, to protect healthcare, to protect immigrants, and continue to be that blue beacon of hope, because that's what California is. We are not Texas, and we are not going back.
Some $200 million plus being spent on this, both for and against, and not to mention the cost of the actual putting this on the ballot. A lot of good could be done for a lot of people with the cost of putting this measure on the ballot. Why do you believe it's worth it to do that?
Let's take a step back. Republicans spent over $230 million of taxpayers' money to recall Governor Newsom 2-3 years ago, whenever that was. They just had a special election in Riverside to replace Bill Asaley in that district as well, over $6 million as well. The party of fiscal responsibility is putting us in this arena where we have to push back on that. And so right now, we have to make sure that we maintain the California to be what it is today, again, for healthcare, for immigrants. But the price tag for this is because of what Republicans are going to cost us in the long run, and that's costing us our future. And so, again, the recall cost us millions of dollars, and that was because of Republicans. And they tried to push back against Gavin Newsom, and so we did what we had to do, and guess what? He stayed in office.
All right. What about the spending on this?
I think it's unspeakable. The majority of Californians think that California is headed in the wrong direction. What people care about most are affordability, crime, housing, homelessness, and spending almost $300 million. The state decided to spend $300 million on a special election that removes Californians' constitutional right to decide what their community is going to look like. I think this money could be spent in so many other places. Instead, they want to spend it on removing Californians' independence and removing our right to decide how we decide our communities.
Did you hold that opinion when Republicans tried to oust Governor Newsom?
Well, that was done by an independent group. So there were a group of Californians, and I believe the lead person on the Governor Gavin Newsom recall in 2021 is a registered independent. And he was the leader, and he organized people throughout the state. And I think it's worth mentioning also that many of the signatures came from Los Angeles Democrats on the recall of Gavin Newsom.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez, instead of a special election, instead of this initiative, why not, and this could be said about California and Texas perhaps, why not just run better candidates? Why not have a better platform on which to run and elect people based on their qualifications? I wonder if this is putting us on a path toward where political maneuvering is more effective and more important than what people's policies are.
Trump is politically maneuvering. That's how we got into this mess in the first place. Let's not sit here and say, well, California is doing this and California is doing that. Texas and other red states are trying to put the Trump agenda forward by stealing congressional seats because they know that they're going to lose in the midterm elections, and this is a desperate attempt to thwart democracy. And we can't let that happen. So for us here in California, we have 5 seats that are going to be representative of the Democratic Party and the values of healthcare, immigration, housing, affordability. We care about putting gas in people's car, food on their table. Republicans are here to destroy it.
Thank you for watching this ABC News California special presentation on Proposition 50. For all of the latest on Prop 50, make sure to follow your local ABC News station. And for live election results on November 4th, watch our streaming coverage starting at 8 p.m. wherever you stream ABC News in California. Thanks for watching. I'm Monica Madden. We'll see you next time.